Hello, everyone. How's it going? I'm Richard Shen. I am one of the ED attendings at New York Presbyterian Queens. And I'm going to let all those who are joining know about our fellowship programs that we offer here. As always, we will be monitoring the comments in the chat box, and we will be also have time for questions at the end. Just a little bit of background. We are, hold on, I'm just admitting one more person. All right. Okay, so who are we? We are an emergency medicine group that is community-based. It's an academic hospital. It has a high level of medical acuity and diversity. We see about 120,000 ED visits annually. This was kind of before COVID, and our numbers are kind of creeping up. We are ACS verified level 1 trauma center, Joint Commission primary stroke center, and AHA STEMI receiving center. And we are an affiliate of New York Presbyterian Healthcare. It's ranked #1 hospital system in New York and #7 in the nation. As part of our fellowship program, you will have the opportunity to apply as a clinical instructor in emergency medicine at Weill Cornell. Almost every single one of our previous fellows have achieved that. Who are we and who do we teach? We teach the residents as part of a 3-year fully accredited ACGME emergency medicine residency program, and we started in 2004. We are educators for the Weill Cornell medical students, mid-level providers, and also students. We have a really diverse core faculty, and they have completed fellowships in ultrasound, simulation, sports medicine, global health, pediatric emergency medicine, administration, and toxicology. And all of our core faculty are very engaged. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the fellowships in general, and we have the individual participants here to give you the little rundown for each particular fellowship. So all of our 4 fellowships that we offer here, they are between 1 to 2 years in length. Most of them are 1 year. All of your clinical time is spent at New York Presbyterian Queens. Our compensation is essentially about $140,000 with benefits, and we average approximately 18 hours of clinical work per week, with additional 18 hours expected for your fellowship. We also have paid national conference attendance depending on your fellowship that you choose, but each one of them has at least 1 paid national conference attendance. So what makes us special? So we are located in Queens, New York. It is a super diverse location. Our hospital will speak an average of 130 different languages. So, you know, we are diverse. We are really at the crossroads between urban center, a suburban center, academic, and community. So we see it all, you know. We are located in a great area. There's a lot of cultural diversity there. And we also see a highly acute population. So we also are close by to Citi Field, LaGuardia Airport, and when the US Open is here, we also the receiving hospital for those events. Over here, you can see a lot of pathology. You know, this was one of our COVID patients with DIC, Kawasaki's. Our trauma patients, I really couldn't show the real image, but that used to be an arm, essentially. So what makes this program? It's really the diversity of our patients, our high acuity, you know, and we see a lot of that. And what is one of the more important factors is our faculty, we like each other, right? So we have this camaraderie. This is all a majority of the faculty all together at dinner. I hope someone was covering the ED at this time, so I'm sure someone was. Okay, and this is all of us having dinner together. So we do this once or twice a year, and we have a great time. And it's not only the attending faculty, but our residents. We are all a family, and I think that's what really sets us apart from the other residency programs. And we really enjoy each other's company. we have a young demographic in our faculty, and we're all motivated to work together to achieve. So which fellowships do we offer here? We have an administrative fellowship, a medical education fellowship, a simulation fellowship, and an ultrasound fellowship. So what we'll start off with is the simulation fellowship, and Anika is going to help us out over here and tell us more about that. Just let me know how to advance the slides, okay?
Okay, you can advance one slide, please. Okay, great. So my name is Anika Naklani. I am in charge of the fellowship here at NYPQ. I'm just going to talk very briefly about our program, our curriculum, kind of some things that we've done in the past and what we're looking for in the future. This is our mission statement. It's very similar to if you have looked through simulation and kind of the programs that are available out there. It's got a general idea of we're here to educate through medical simulation and through the development of our faculty and constituents with an emphasis on emergency medicine specifically for us and through the education department. So I think I wholeheartedly believe in this and very happy to be here and be happy to be part of the simulation program. We do the next slide. So these are kind of our very large group that we have on our team. Very proud of everyone who's there. We all kind of do our own specific parts. Our curriculum is a little different. There is some structure, which I'll talk about in the next slide, but for the most part, everyone that has graduated from this program, everyone's done a little bit something a little different with their fellowship. So I was a graduate of the fellowship in 2018, and the focus was very different from, let's say, our new fellow this year, Dr. Kent Lee, who has a more research focus on the fellowship. So it's really tailored to kind of your particular needs, what you want to get out of the simulation your simulation track, essentially. And then there are a couple specific things. So Richard Shin, you've met. He's the director of all of the simulation department as well as the fellowships. Myself, I graduated in 2018. Dr. Louie, who is now the clerkship director. Dr. Combs, who works mostly with the other departments, as you'll learn and as you start to this is what you want, a career in simulation, you'll realize that there is a lot of interdepartmental interactions, and simulation is very helpful for that. So she's in charge of a lot of our Insight 2 sims. And then Dr. Simon as well was our graduate last year. And then Dr. Lee. We also have Lillian, who is our simulation administrator. She does a lot of the legwork and the kind of behind the scenes in terms of like budgeting and finances. And then Lily Who, which we could probably do. She does everything for the fellowship. So she's essentially in charge of our administration for all the fellowships. So these are in terms of what we would expect in your year. So it is a one-year fellowship. Like most simulation fellowships, it's not ACGME accredited, but we do require these few things that need to be done throughout your year. And then again, this very tailored, non-structured idea of what you want to get out of your fellowship. We do require a research project. I feel like that's kind of in most requirements. We are an AHA center, so we do expect you to be ACLS, PALS, and BLS instructor trained. That is also it's kind of attached to the simulation department. So we have a very big hand in kind of certifying most of the nurses and house staff at NYPQ. IMSH is our national conference. It's a national simulation conference that also incorporates lots of other different departments. Pediatrics, nursing is huge, as well as a little bit of crit care and anesthesia. Usually it's somewhere warm. In the past, we've been to LA, we've been to San Diego. San Antonio. And I believe this year it's back on the West Coast. It's usually in January. And every year we actually, we submit quite a few projects, a lot of models as well. And it's always a great time. And we try to go every year. We do have like formalized debriefing courses that we would like you to participate in during your year. This year, last year, Dr. Simon participated in the Harvard debriefing course, and it was very, very good. Got a lot out of it. It's about a week long, very intense program. It was all done over Zoom, which I believe it's going to be this year as well. And then also the cheesy certification, which is essentially the certification for all simulation educators. It's essentially a test, and then it's part of your I guess a title at the end, and you are then an official simulation educator, and then a QI project that is usually kind of coincided with the administration department at NYPQ. See, these are some things that we've done in the past. Like I said, we have had multiple presentations and projects that were presented at IMSH. We have a very heavy hand in all the in situ simulation. We usually run them with, right now it's the pediatric department's very, utilizes it most, GYN as well, and now surgery with a little bit of collaboration. And for the most part, I feel that we do have a heavy sim presence in the emergency medicine residency. We do weekly sim. However, I think that a lot of what we do isn't just on these Wednesday conferences. I think most of what we do has a lot to do with these in situ simulations and interdepartmental relationships. We do some community outreach. A lot of it kind of relies around AHA and hands-only CPR classes for the community. Flushing, we did something at the Botanical Gardens. And then 2 years ago, before the pandemic, we all went to Burma and participated in like an AHA training overseas, which we're trying to carry over to this year as well, perhaps a different country. We participated in Sim Wars. We won 2 years ago at SAEM. Very proud of that team. The residents really, really love Sim here. Any chance they get, they would like to participate in Sim Wars. We also hosted our own in-hospital Sim Wars within the PGY class that they also really love. So that took a lot of work, and I thought it was very successful. Again, we are an AHA training center, and then we work very closely with the CMO of our hospital in the simulation department. And then finally, we received a very generous donation a few years ago for the simulation lab and essentially the education, the NYP Sim lab and library. It's going to be kind of together. Dr. Shin is in charge of that. But we are expecting a brand new Sim lab that is slated. I think it's going to be next year, but it's going to be 3 times the size of what we have now. So it's very exciting. Can't wait to actually see this, but you would essentially be a part of this new development. And I think that is probably one of our big selling points in the fellowship. And finally, I think this is probably more of our mission statement than anything else. Sim is meant for learning, it's for education, but overall it's fun. And we all have a good time in our department. The residents really love simulation, and it's all just to help better patient care, education. So that's our general mantra. Sim is fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you have any questions on the chat, you can put it on. I will try to answer them.
All right, great. Now we have Neo, who is the Emergency Medicine Medical Education Director, and she's going to give her presentation. Just let me know when to go forward, all right?
Will do. So my name is Neo Yaneda. I am the Associate Residency Director here at Queens. It's been a great pleasure of mine to direct the Medical Education Fellowship and to be here to provide you with some information. Our fellowship was established in 2019. We have subsequently graduated 2 really amazing fellows. We're still pretty new on the scene, but I think it gives us a great opportunity to be constantly evolving and trying new things and just trying to make the best of it and learn from the other more established programs. The vision was for a 1 or 2 year, you have 2 options, 1 or 2 year guided mentorship programs that it offers advanced training in the ever expanding field of medical education. The curriculum is intentionally designed to provide basically a structured deep dive into academic EM, but we also really aim to provide flexibility for those individuals to explore distinct areas of personal interest. So there's no hard and fast, it needs to be Z. You really dictate how you want your educational experience to go. Our fellows have multiple local and national opportunities to hone their academic skills. And our aim is really to provide formal education in developing and delivering educational content, and also provide a fully immersive administrative experience with the opportunity to really integrate within our leadership teams. To give you some additional background just in the whole milieu of everything, there are maybe 240 plus ACGME accredited EM residency programs in the United States. There are probably some 33 plus med ed fellowships. If you're interested to train in New York City, those would be Maimonides, Downstate, and Mount Sinai, which has a SIM and med ed combined program. We are not ACGME accredited, but currently we have our application in for review for SAEM accreditation, which basically acts as a governance body to ensure the quality of your education here at NYPQ. Next slide, please. Oh, I'm sorry, this is it. By the conclusion of your fellowship, we believe the trainees should have a portfolio of tangible works of scholarship, and really complete their course of study with a well-rounded proficiency in education and learning theory, medical research and curriculum development. And this is kind of a list of our general goals for our trainees. And that includes, mentorship and education of students, collaborating with simulation, ultrasound, critical care, administrative departments, research, of course. And we do offer a dedicated 3-month simulation training for each fellow. We really like to, for our fellows to hone a literacy in administration, budgets, concepts of remediation, evaluation processes, as well as applicant selection and in the interviewing process. There are plenty of opportunities for faculty professional development, as well as to promote our residency at regional and national forums and fairs. And we're hoping that if the world at some point opens up fully, we would also be able to incorporate some international teaching opportunities. Next slide, please. So why do an education fellowship? I would say that the satisfaction of working in academic EM is getting to watch generations of graduates grow and getting to take an active role in that. Ideally, we seek someone who's interested in learning about the evolution of the learner and new trends in education, whether it be, gamification, or just, trying out different ways that people learn. We seek someone who's curious and about the psychology of education. And if you ever just thought that to yourself that you'd like a way to continue to build on the strength and resilience that keeps you from burning out, because I feel like for some of us, and for some people, working in the pit day in and day out is ideal. For some of us, we need a little bit more than that, and to be able to propagate what we know, what we've learned, is really satisfying, and I think a great way to fight the burnout. If you're interested in refining your skills to teach for your own career development, those would be the people out there who are interested in a position like a medical student clerkship director, an associate residency director, a program director eventually, or working with a medical school as a dean or as a group leader, or just working with GME in general. And this picture is a Zoom picture of several members of our core faculty. This is our program director, our APDs, our clerkship director, and on the right is Dave Mish, who graduated last year in 2020, all the way on the right-hand side. Next slide, please. So who should do an education fellowship? I would say that a med-ed fellowship is certainly not for someone who is, directionless or stubborn in their ways or just wayward. If you've ever taught something to someone and you just felt really gratified and felt like it was the best feeling ever, I think that a medical education fellowship could be for you. If you want to make a difference and leave a mark, if you're clever, if you're curious, and if you're patient, and you flat out are just adverse to complacency and want to promote change and teach in a way that's different from how we used to teach yesterday, or in the 1970s when it became established as a specialty. This picture is the same smiling group of people, but on the right is now Sunny Elegandala, who graduated this past year just a month ago. Next slide, please. So EM is on the forefront of educational advances for good reason. I think that since we emerged as a specialty, our focus has always been on efficiency, and those that gravitate toward the field are always seeking a better way to do things. I think that coupled with the ability recently to share innovations and engage members of our community remotely, especially during COVID, we learned those lessons, has really revamped the landscape of academics in emergency medicine. So if you are curious about these things and also grateful for all of the lessons you've learned from the FOMED community, from various conferences, from virtual learning, this field could be for you for sure. This picture here is to commemorate the addition of our new fellow, Tim Kawang. He just joined the family. He just started last month, and I just wanted to welcome him to the ranks. Next slide, please. So why do an EM fellowship specifically at NYPQ? Firstly, we do offer funds with the 2-year fellowship option to pursue a master's degree in medical education. And in addition to that, we also provide subsidies for various EM educational workshops. These 3 are probably the most popular ones that people pursue because they're really established and they give you the opportunity to learn from some really great educators and come up with some fascinating projects that answer a lot of our questions that we have. So those are some options that we also offer. We offer, CME travel stipend, which is pretty robust. And next slide. So what do you gain at the end of a med-ed fellowship? I think I'll end on this. You embark at the end of your fellowship, I think, with a confidence of knowing that you are more competitive in a really competitive, ever more competitive field. Where obtaining a lot of these sought after core faculty positions are harder and harder by the year. You also leave with the satisfaction of getting to, in essence, be a part of a core faculty as a junior member for an entirety of 1 or 2 years. And I think that experience is really amazing. You get to leave with the satisfaction of having been there for residents and students when they really needed mentorship the most. And I'll say that often my fellows, their perspective is probably closer to our trainees than a lot of the senior faculty are. So they're people who, my residents and students feel comfortable approaching. And at the end of the day, you get to be part of a really big, robust, loving, and hardworking family, which is what we have here. By the end, you'll have figured out how to be a cool young attending that people want to work with, but also equipped with the, the more difficult challenges and abilities to provide difficult feedback, and help people who are struggling through hard times. So, I feel really fortunate that I get to work with an extraordinary group of people. I have a lot of really good friends, all the people here on this chat, on this Zoom link, and people I admire greatly. And I think for me, I consider them role models as well. So at the end of the day, they're faculty who are really good at doing what they're doing. And you would have gotten to work with these people if you graduate from our fellowship, people that I admire dearly, and I think that's pretty priceless. So thank you for being here with us and allowing me to share my perspective. Open for any questions. You can provide it in the chat or after the rest of the fellowships have gone.
Thanks, Neo, very much. Very warm words, as always. So our next fellowship is Nate Zarader. Hi.
Yes. Hi. My name is Nate. I'm one of the 2 recent graduates from our emergency ultrasound fellowship. Across from me is Jerry Frankel. And I'm going to be talking about our ultrasound fellowship that we have going on here. If you can go back 1 slide, actually, Rich, I'd appreciate it. I just want people to really appreciate how beautiful I am in the conductor that we have. Thank you. All right, we can move forward. 2 slides now, in case you lost count. Neo has the most compromising photos of me, unfortunately. So if you're in emergency medicine and you're considering fellowship, these are kind of some reasons that I can think of why you might pursue an educational fellowship of some sort, or academic fellowship, such as SIM, Med Ed, or ultrasound, but in particular ultrasound. If you want to improve your skills, and not just with your technical skills of ultrasound, but also as a clinician, because I think our whole department believes that ultrasound makes you a better doctor. It gives you a little bit more certainty and helps you avoid going down the wrong pathway at times when things are unclear. You get a lot of exposure to teaching and improving your skills as an educator. And then also, as with most academic fellowships, there's a research component that we hope to build your skills in that regard throughout your fellowship. I think that an ultrasound fellowship also allows you to affect patient care in a meaningful way and extend kind of your reach and your influence, hopefully for the better, via ultrasound to more patients, and hopefully even change kind of the practices of your department. For example, when Dr. Greco, who you'll see later, took over the ultrasound fellowship director position, I would say within the first 2 years after his leadership, our residents use ultrasound more now than ever. Tape review has become a whole day routine now because so many people are using it. And I think that's to the benefit of our patients. And ultimately, there's that med student inside of us who wants to do as much good as possible. And I think that ultrasound really kind of helps you do as much as you can for people. For me personally, I think working the grind of clinical work day in, day out would eventually lead to burnout, and burnout rates are quite high within the specialty of emergency medicine. So pursuing an ultrasound fellowship will help curb against that. I think finding something that you're interested in or something that is an outlet outside of pure clinical medicine that lets you diversify your clinical practice is going to really help prolong your career and make you happier in the long run. And then also when applying for jobs, even if you just want to do ultrasound fellowship as a stepping stone into administration or into community medicine, and you want to be a better doctor or a better researcher, these kinds of skills are marketable skills that have real financial gains and value that you can justify in most settings when you're applying for jobs. Next slide, please. So our department is currently consists of us 4 faculty members. The first topmost pictures are our ultrasound division director and our fellowship director, Jeff Greco. He is kind of an inspirational guy amongst our residents and also amongst Jerry and I. We kind of followed in his footsteps. He did residency and his fellowship with Northwell and LIJ. Hannah Park is another academic core faculty member. She's PEM trained, very interested in pediatric applications of ultrasound and also ultrasound core faculty. She's also instrumental in the training of residents. And then the 2 new additions are Jerry and myself, who are new ultrasound faculty, but very involved in different aspects of the fellowship training program. I'm much more interested in curriculum development and academics and research. And Jerry enjoys wearing a suit and forming policy and making sure that the back end of things that I do not have an interest in as much happen smoothly without me knowing, because all I am is frustration when Jerry's not around. So you can go to the next slide. So our general format for fellowship education is similar to what Dr. Shin spoke about regarding the intro to the simulation fellowship and our fellowships in general. It is a non-ACGME accredited fellowship. Therefore, you work part-time as a faculty member attending physician. You get paid more than most PGY designated designated fellows that are ACGME approved fellowships. And you get paid better because of that. You have full benefits, and most of your hours are divided about 18 clinical, 20 ultrasound related, and the ultrasound related hours are divided into a weekly scan shift with a faculty member to cover advanced topics, and then also partly covered with residents for teaching and the basic point of care ultrasound curriculum that our residents are learning. We also do weekly QA of all 100% of scans done in our emergency department. We have weekly conference didactics, and just to echo the sentiments of the prior presenters, I would say that this is a very big, close-knit family. The schedules actually vary, but we have a lot of interplay between departments. So we did Code Sim, where we learned kind of how to simulate a code and incorporate ultrasound, and learning teaching points for ultrasound and the use of PEA or something like that with them during weekly conference. And then we also have a lot of other departments that we're able to get involved with medical education. We also do journal club during weekly QA sessions, and we'll cover some advanced topics that might be outside the scope of resident education as well during the QA sessions or tip review. We do require at least one publication/research product while you're a fellow here. And then we also have one conference presentation, hopefully of the same project at a national conference, and you are funded to go to a minimum of 2 conferences. We would ideally have our fellows being coaches for our annual Sono Games, which is a competition basically interpreting images and some kind of like trivia for ultrasound, so to say. Frequently asked questions, just so everyone who is an ultrasound fanatic knows, we do use QPath, we do have clips, we have mind rate machines, Zonari machines, and we also use butterflies. We use Epic, and our clinical shifts afford us scribes, so you no longer have to write notes, which is a huge benefit that people often ask about. Next slide. So specifically why NYP Queens, I think hopefully this presentation is a little bit illustrative. All of us are close friends. Dr. Sharma is one of my chairmen. He's sitting right next to me at, I have a lot of administrative buy-in and support from not only the administration, but all of the different departments that have been presented here. It's a very close-knit feel, a very small program, and that's why fit is so important. We are relatively new, and we're growing, and a lot of funds have been invested in the department, and I think that we're significantly improved. And being newer allows you a little bit of latitude to pursue what you're interested in. So for me, I was able to improve on, pre-existing curriculum, not only for the residents, but also for fellows. And that was something that I was more interested in. Jerry and I both attended an ultrasound management course seminar, also to aid in Jerry's pursuit of, his administrative interests. Our program in particular has a very awesome patient population in a busy ER that's progressively aging. And also we have very few social issues. We have very few homeless patients or intoxicated patients, which is a benefit to your training. it's not something that is unimportant or trivialized, but as far as your residency training and your fellowship training, it does afford you some simplicities that are not offered elsewhere. As I mentioned before, lots of interdepartmental educational opportunities. Surgery program just reached out to us asking for additional help with what they feel is a weakness in their education, which is, performing ultrasounds on trauma patients. I just did teaching the other night with GYN about ultrasound related topics. We are newly UFAC accredited, meaning after you're done with your fellowship, you're able to sit for your board exam and your clinical practice distinction when you complete your fellowship. We do have a TEE model, and we are obtaining a SIM model by September of this year to simulate and then hopefully incorporate also into all of our cardiac arrests. We do off-service nerve blocks for additional practice in our OR. And as I said before, we have a stipend for you guys to attend academic conferences and whatnot, which is also fun. Next slide. So we like to think of ourselves a little bit like in sync. Obviously, JT, if you click next, is Jeff Greco because handsome. Next is Hannah Park. Lance Bass has to be me. And then I don't know that guy's name, but it's Jerry. And then the guy in the end, Kate. Oh no,
Could be you.
Not Kate. That guy could be you.
Or lady.
So I'm not going to give him a name, or yeah, that guy or that person could be you, and that's a nice trench coat. If you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat, or you can go on our website, Block Talk, email me, email any of us. We're all very receptive, and thanks for your guys' attention.
Thank you, Nate. Colorful as always. All right. So now we have Mini Sharma, who's the chair of our department, who will tell us a little bit about our administrative fellowship.
And as always, I can't talk till I stand. I'm sorry. I have to stand to talk. So this fellowship is not meant for all of you. This fellowship is meant for the person who doesn't want to be EM and doesn't want to be 3 shifts a week. This is somebody who wants to support all the other fellowships and all the other physicians and is okay with being 24/7, at least 6 days a week. So if that's not you, you know up front, don't apply to me because you have to be available for everyone around you. You have to be, and look, a lot of the other fellowships make you a great clinician beyond EM residency. This is for the person who wants to be that, plus support everyone else around you. So the details of it I'll go through, but every fellowship is different and every administrative fellowship is different. If you look at all of the other models and all of the other healthcare systems, because everyone seems to be popping up a new administrative fellowship. So ours is a little bit different. It is localized at NYPQ in Queens, and you do have some experiences at our community NYPQ affiliate, NYPQ Hudson Valley, but the majority of the experiences are here. So the people who are involved are up there. Each offers something different. Each will cultivate you in a different way. But ultimately, it's about gaining enough experience that when you speak to somebody who you're attempting to help in their clinical care, or the stuff around clinical care, which is the operational piece, which is about the administrative piece, about the medical legal piece, that you can speak to it and make the person better, make their lives easier. Next slide. So we are, yes, the #1 healthcare system in New York City. We are the #7 in the nation. We are, as fellows and attendings, employed by Envision. That is a different model than many other places where you would be employed by the healthcare system that you're working for. Envision is national. So in that way, your experience within this fellowship is national. You are not only working in NYPQ Queens and going to interdepartmental and hospital-wide and sometimes we'll just say system-wide meetings, but you're also getting a lot of your experiences in Envision Healthcare, which is national. So you're attending meetings with people who are leading 40 or 50 or 500 emergency departments. You're meeting with billing specialists who don't just do billing in New York City, but do billing nationally. You're meeting with documentation specialists. You're meeting with recruitment specialists. And those are individual, we'll say, meetings within your one-year fellowship. Now, there is an option to do a 2-year fellowship. that is not open to everybody, that is open to select candidates who we feel are exceptional and want to, number one, spend 2 years in a fellowship, and number two, we feel would benefit and obviously want to benefit from a master's degree. That master's degree is paid by the fellowship, and it can be either an MBA or an MPH. Everyone feels each degree is more valuable based on your personal beliefs and also what your career goals are. So for some people, an MPH would be better, and for some others, an MBA would be better. Once again, that's a joint decision between the fellow that we want to match here, and also just basically what the resources are in terms of what the person wants to do. Next slide. So a lot of it in the first 3 months of a 1-year fellowship is about mostly mentoring, participating in leadership. We've had a fellow who graduated successfully, stayed on to be a departmental leader, and is now an Envision leader in a different site. Everyone in this hospital understands who that person is. So when you would come into this fellowship, they would understand that you are assuming a similar role. So would welcome you into basically conversations that were privileged. So many times you might go into an admin fellowship where they're, using words that you don't understand, and also saying things that they're being careful that wouldn't occur here. You are participating in a residency program leadership, so you're not only learning hospital leadership, but residency leadership. You're also participating in leadership meetings with every department within this hospital, and obviously other departments within the Weill Cornell and Columbia systems. There are 2 other parts, next slide, that may not be on here, but we are sending you to if any of you have heard of it, the ACEP Leadership Academy. There are 3 steps to it. We're committing to 1 year, the first step of the academy, and if you progress on to the 2nd year, we would commit to the 2nd phase of that leadership academy. So throughout this fellowship, you will learn different things of how to say things, what to say, what not to say, and what many people consider leadership jargon in terms of how to present things in a positive manner. Number 2, you learn how you need to be available for your colleagues to support them to make sure that they don't deal with a lot of the things that you want to for yourself. The fellowship basically reminds me a lot of that song by the Soca Boys, Follow the Leader.
Oh, follow the leader.
So if you want to be followed, if you want to be somebody who helps others, if you want to be available more than 3 shifts a week, this fellowship may be the right model for you. Once again, we're very apprehensive at accepting anyone into this fellowship until we know that they're truly committed to it. If you feel that you want to be a growing leader within emergency medicine, a hospital, and beyond, it may be the right fellowship for you. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. All right, so just so you know how to apply, and we'll leave it up for questioning. Just so you know, the special group is the ultrasound, where you have to apply through the SCUF application cycle, just so you know. But every fellowship requires CV, cover letter, and 2 letters of recommendation sent to Lily and to each individual fellowship directors. All right. Does anyone have any questions? Just let us know. I guess all the presenters can unmute if you guys want.
Hey, my name's Greg. I'm a PGY3 up at Case Western Cleveland Clinic Metro Health up in Cleveland, Ohio. Interested in the administration fellowship. So I was curious about timeline, when you typically like things sent in, just so don't miss any dates or anything.
Oh, it's unmuted. So I was asking him to unmute for me because there's some things that you get other people to do for you. That's part of administration too. Okay.
Yeah, he's muted again.
So we would ideally like the application somewhere around September. We'd like to interview you around October and November. We'd make a final decision by the end of the year, so you have some, plans for the following year. We have interviewed probably about 15 to 20 applicants in the past, and we usually give a decision soon thereafter, but it also depends on the number of applicants who apply. because we are committed to one fellow per year, because we want to devote all of our resources, our time, our caring, everything to that one person. We do look, just in case you're wondering, we do look for other leadership experiences within the residency program. So there are numerous opportunities for you within your residency program to become a Neo Yoneda, because that shows that you want to be a leader beyond a residency program. So it doesn't have to be chief resident, but it should be that I've done all this stuff to help my colleagues, whether it be attendings or residents, because that shows that you want to do more beyond that.
Great. Yeah, so just in general across for all the fellowships, that's a typical timeline. Ultrasound has a match date. So we typically will give offer letters after the ultrasound match date, which is usually in the middle of November, middle to end of November. But oftentimes the interviews we will have on a rolling basis, but typically starts around September. So.
For medical education, there was kind of a common offer date to try to alleviate some of the stress on programs and applicants as far as giving their final answers. We had projected that would be November 1st. I don't think it was difficult because we do offer interviews at ASAP, and that comes really close to that particular deadline. But my advice for anyone interested in med ed is start exploring now. Get your CV, your letters, your reference letters and everything, your letter of interest ready now, and start, sending them in as soon as possible. I would say like August, and trying to get your interviews in for September, October would be ideal.
Any idea if it's going to be virtual or in-person interviews this year?
Well, I personally, because we get to dictate that, I am totally open for a virtual interview again, to try to alleviate the stress on people who are, going through their third year or fourth year of medical school. That being said, we do definitely encourage really interested applicants to come by and check out our site in person, just so you know what you could be getting into, so you can meet everyone in person.
Yeah.
Awesome.
There will almost always be a virtual option, so just know that it exists. Our in-person interview experience will be different and I guess more fulfilling, honestly. However, I just heard this morning they may change some of the masking criteria just now because of some new outbreaks. So we'll have to really play it by ear, but there's always going to be a virtual option.
So the fellowship part is, I will just say, is easy to do virtually. Remember that you are an attending in this department. And I think being here and seeing the surrounding areas and the emergency department, how it functions, is a very key component of the next 1 to 2 years of your life. So we will offer the Zoom, but we prefer that, if we get to a certain point where we're really interested in you and you're interested in us, that you come and actually visit with us here. But if we can start off with that, we're totally fine with in-person first.
And I might just add one thing. I'm Somo Parikh. I'm the residency director here. I'm not in charge of any of the fellowships in particular, but we do have a blog, an academic blog. And on that blog, we actually have a virtual tour and a bunch of other virtual videos. So if you want to get to know more about our program in general, or our academic program in general, you're more than welcome to do so. And maybe somebody in the chat can just type quacktalk.org.
Yeah.
I already did it.
Perfect.
Put it in the chat.
Quacktalk.org, and that is our kind of personal. It's a little bit more personal and homey, and so if you really want to get to know us, that's the place to go.
And a part of the admin fellowship, since Greg, you said you're interested in it, is me introducing you, even during the interview, to our president, our CMO, our COO, exec, etc., which can't happen through a Zoom.
Great. I really like that website, Quack Talk. It really has a lot of good stuff there, including the virtual tour, some videos just to get to know us. So if you have time, it's really well produced video footage. So just take a look. It also has a lot of our educational resources.
Any more questions? We love to talk, as you can tell.
No, I appreciate it. The website was super useful, and then this was very useful as well. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to explain all this.
Great, thank you.
I wish you guys the best of luck. And
Michelle, wait, Michelle hasn't said anything. Michelle, any questions?
I was actually chatting Dr. Yoneda a lot, and she gave a lot of answers. I guess one thing just in general, like obviously 2020 had a lot of changes. Like, can you describe one way that the fellows have been impacted and how the programs responded to that?
Can I go a little first?
Who are fellows who can tell you how they were impacted in 2020?
So, I'm going to go, Manish. So I'm going to tell you for the simulation fellowship, we really did a great job finding a way to offer virtual Zoom. We instituted something called like simulation goodie bags, where we were able to give these goodie bags full of 3D printed kind of models and then we did virtual sessions with them. And I thought that we really adapted and utilized that time to produce. And, you know, we're all in the thick of it during the COVID pandemic, and all of us are going to work, and we had a lot of downtime. So at that time, we're able to collaborate with each other and create these unique new kind of educational tools.
So, I mean, for our fellowship, I don't think that we were impacted to the extent that others might have been. You know, medical education was particularly impacted mainly because everything moved to a virtual format, which was new and uncharted territory. For us, we still had, we had virtual tape review, but you can look at videos of hearts and lungs and whatever on any interface. You know, you don't need to be together for that. And for me, it's more comfortable. But also, I'd say the main thing that suffered for us was that we just didn't get to attend a lot of the conferences that we wanted. But that was like a shared experience amongst everybody in academic emergency medicine, conferences being canceled. I really wanted a trip somewhere nice on this guy's dime, but I didn't get that. And other than that, I think that our actual fellowship and our training was benefited from it not really affecting us if we went virtual.
Medical education we did endure a lot of challenges, and I think the gamut runs from not having our medical students in person. We participated in a virtual medical education, a virtual clerkship for the students, but we didn't get to welcome them to our emergency room and get to teach them at bedside. The fellows, I think they really kind of took on a new responsibility, and that was when they're working with the residents. Morale was, to say low is difficult. I think people were scared. They were traumatized, and our fellows were really helpful to be there to provide counsel and to just be a comforting, support figure for them. And I don't think that they had really anticipated that, but I was extremely proud of the fellows and also my residents.
Yeah, I think it was a big impetus for change, and even all the fellowships were affected. And I think, we did a really great job utilizing that time. And, we were able to be innovative and we're able to leverage technology. And, the administrative group obviously, did really great things to help with the flow of the ED as we were inundated with a lot of patients. So everyone was affected, but we all leveraged our time so we could make the most out of it.
Thanks for the reflection.
All right, thank you. I think we are pretty good here. You guys all have our contact information. I don't know if anyone has any last comments among the groups.
I just wanted to say good luck to you guys and hit us up regardless of if there are questions about our programs or if you just have any general questions about your area of interest and the trajectory of your future. We're open.
Great. All right. Thank you, everyone, for participating. We'll see you around on the interview trail. And thank you, and just feel free to apply, okay? All right, great. Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Bye.
What a nice group. Oh, it goes. Thank you guys.
Yeah, I thought it was so successful.
It's good. I'm gonna log off. We can talk.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for organizing this. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Denise. All right, thank you.